Hi everyone, welcome to our very last picture in this mini series from Rita Berman. We have our pretty little nest to do today. Now there are 4 feathers around the nest and 4 eggs. I'm not sure whether to do them the same colour as each other or not. I'm going to do the eggs all the same colour, I think, just because I think they would be. And I'm going to have a bit of fun with the colour. I don't really have a duck egg blue, but we do have the light cobalt turquoise, and I thought that would be a rather nice colour to the eggs. So I'm just going to make a start on those right away. And I'm thinking, now Rita has drawn some dots on the eggs to sort of help us a little bit, but I know how I'm going to colour them. So I'm going to try and do them a bit darker around the outside, and then with less colour towards the middle. Now, they wouldn't normally be quite this darker blue, I don't think. I probably pressed a bit hard, but never mind. Just going around and around, and I want the sort of top to be really light, and then you get the idea that it's more rounded. Just going to smooth it out a little bit. It's not as neat as I would like. Not that my colouring is ever quite as neat as I would like, but hey, we're all our worst critics, aren't we? So as of tomorrow, we'll be starting a new afternoon mini-series. Try not to go out of the lines. She says to herself, I'm sure you're doing brilliantly. We are going to start a page from Ivy and the Inky Butterfly by Johanna Basford. I think we haven't had a lot of Johanna for a while. We've had bits and bobs, so it'd be nice to get back into a Johanna Basford book, I think. For a while, I know lots of you are big fans of Johanna's, so it's nice. It's nice to do somebody else as well, but you know, I used to only do Johanna when I first started, and her books are lovely, but I sort of felt like I was getting sent books from other people, by other people, and so I felt like I wanted to share some of those with you, and some people were asking me to do pictures from other books, which is why I do. I try and keep you guys happy, do things that you'd like. Obviously, I do things I like too. I wouldn't do something I really disliked. But there aren't many things I don't. I always thought I didn't like mandalas, and then I got a book and I started using it and I really liked it. So there we go. That's all I'm going to do with the eggs. I don't want to. You could make them significantly darker around the edges to make them look more shadowy, but I think it's going to make them look too blue. You could add greys, I guess, for shadows instead, but we have got this black in the bottom, so it's going to just sort of disappear. So I'm just going to leave them. Now the nest itself, usually it's got leaves here and some things here. I don't know what these are. I was tempted to make the nest like in the UK. Nests tend to be made of twigs and they're just brown, but we've got leaves going on here, so I think I'm going to make it a sort of leafy nest, maybe in some browny greens. So we've got sort of so this one here, I think it's called earth green yellowish. I'm just going to double check. No, it's called olive green yellowish. Sorry, the earth green yellowish is a completely different colour. So this is olive green yellowish, and I'm going to start with that. And there's a lot going on here, so I'm going to try and deal with each little piece on its own and do it a little bit darker at each end and lighter in the middle. And I think that will help us to see each bit as an individual piece of nest, but it might take a while. But don't want to rush our last picture on the page. Now this finished page will be shared on Facebook. I'll put it on my Facebook page, and I'm trying to work out what to do here. I think I'll leave it for a minute. Yeah, be shared on Facebook. I'll try and put it on Instagram as well. I don't always remember to put everything on Instagram. I sort of think I'm going to, and then I wonder if I've done it and I can't remember, and then I don't. rubbish, but it just depends. I also try and remember to put them on Pinterest, but again, don't always remember. Don't always put everything on there. I don't know why. It's just Facebook is my go-to thing. It's the page I'm on the most. I use Facebook Messenger to chat to my sister, so I have it open on my computer, and it's sort of the first social media, not the first social media page I joined actually. I was on Friends Reunited was my first social media page. I don't know does it even still exist? I don't think it does. And I don't know if that was a worldwide thing or just a UK thing. And you could put in your school year, and it would sort of can show you the profiles of all the people that were in that year, and you could sort of choose what you put up on there. So you would try and say, oh, since leaving school I've become a rocket scientist and a brain surgeon. I've got the most intelligent children ever, and they both got doctorates from Oxford University when they were 5. I'm married to a person who's won the Nobel Peace Prize. It used to be a bit like that. I think sometimes Facebook still is, but yeah, it's with a bit of I think because I went to quite a high achieving school, shall we say, there was always a lot of pressure on us to do really well. I'm just going to hold that page. So it sort of felt like you had to show off. You didn't have any choice but to do really well. I found it quite tough actually. I was always felt like I was bottom of the class. Well, I think I was, to be fair. I struggled a bit. There was often an assumption by teachers that you knew things that I just didn't, you know, and things like that, and I just found it a bit tough. So you had to pass an entrance exam to get in, and I did pass that, but it didn't necessarily it wasn't a test of knowledge. So it was if you're in the UK, you might remember it was the 11 plus. It was verbal and non-verbal reasoning tests. So they were supposed to be on whether you had an ability to think in a certain way that was expected, and maybe that didn't, but my memory's never been very good, so I can pass those tests because you don't have to remember anything, you just have to follow a logical thought process. I used to find them quite fun and easy, but it doesn't mean to say I could then buckle down and do maths or English or any of that. My children are doing so much better than I did, but I'm trying to learn from the error of my ways. I don't know what to do with these bits, so I'm going to ignore them for a minute. So trying to make sure that they didn't make the errors that I made. So I made errors. My memory wasn't good, but I didn't know how to revise, so I just didn't do things very well, whereas I have encouraged them to do practice questions and things like that to help solidify memory, rather than just reading things over and over, which is what I did, and it never sort of stuck in to my head. And different things, and they did very well in their end of school exams. Well, comparatively, I don't know. Within their school, they did well. Now they're at college. There are a lot of children who did a lot better than them, but I still think they did brilliantly. But I'm just slightly biased. Yeah, they're online to be able to do the jobs that they want, which is the important thing, really, isn't it? It was always important for me to help them get the best marks that they were capable of getting, so that they could had a big choice of careers, and they are going to be able to do that. Choose from lots of different jobs, which is important. I was going to do a few different colours here, and I've ended up talking I'm doing it, a lot of it the same. I'm just going to finish this off all in the same colour, so I'm going to fill these gaps in too. I rather like the way it looks, to be honest. So I'm happy with just this one colour. Don't use this colour enough. It's I always look and think, oh, it's brownie. But actually, it's rather nice. So yes, I got really off topic, didn't I? So Friends Reunited was my first social media, then I moved to Facebook. And then I didn't really move to any others until I started this channel. And then I decided that Instagram might be a good way to let people know about the YouTube, because my idea for setting up YouTube was trying to encourage people to colour. And oh, my son's coming down the stairs. And I knew that that I would need to sort of let people know in lots of different ways. I can't decide what to do. I think I'm just going to not go too different. I'm going to grab this Chromium Green Opaque and do those. So they're not massively different from this, but they just look a little bit different. So I went onto Instagram and started, and it was very inspiring too. Everyone's lovely pictures. There was a lot more on, it was easier to find them on there, I found. And I sort of tried other social media, so I now I've got Reddit and Pinterest, of course YouTube, which I don't know if YouTube counts as social media. Some people say it's the biggest search engine, one of the biggest search engines, but that's only if you want to watch video, isn't it? So I don't know what you consider it to be really, or what they, I say, consider it to be. Right, so there's our nest. Now the feathers. I think we should do each feather in a different colour, just because we've only got 2 or 3 colours here at the minute. I'm going to do the centre parts first, and they will all be the same, and then we'll choose a different colour for each feather. I think that'll be fun. I'm thinking a cold grey is probably the way to go. I'm going to go with the cold grey 5, I think. And what I tend to do with a feather is make it a little bit darker at the bottom. This is quite a dark grey for a feather, to be honest. It would normally be a bit lighter, but I want it to show up. And then, so I've got a bit of a lighter bit in the middle. And we're just going to do the same on each one. There we go. But I think my children tend to use Reddit. My one son uses Reddit. I asked my sister if her kids used it the other day, and her husband yelled out in the background, because we were on Skype at the time, that it's not suitable for children. Now, yeah, there are bits that aren't. My boys are 16, they're sensible lads. I trust them to know what they're up to. Maybe I shouldn't, I don't know. Looking at my boy, he's not paying any attention. So I don't know, but I like to. Now here we have the fuchsia, and I'm going to do one of the feathers in this colour. I think this one. I'm going to sharpen it a little bit. There we go. Now, with feathers, I've done them lots of times before, in fact quite recently too, but I shall show you again in case you didn't catch that video. So a dark outline would just deal with up until this little gap for now. So dark and then lighter towards the middle. And I'm going to do it a little bit from each side so that I can get it pretty central. I want a really light bit in the middle, so I want to try and get that central. There we go. So it looks hopefully like there's a little bit of shine. Do the same here. I can hear a car outside. I can't see anyone though. It's funny, since I've started doing colouring car doors outside, like it might be a delivery van. It's got really exciting. It's like when you're a child and it's your birthday and you hear the postman. It's you know, I never know whether something's coming through the post. It's very exciting. But yesterday, what did we get? Oh, my husband had ordered a book and we got that. He was off work yesterday, he was poorly. Well, he had a poorly back, sore back. It was fine today. Basically, he pulled the muscles and he just needed to rest properly. So I made sure that he didn't twist, bend, lift anything heavy, and that he was sitting in a sensible position all day, so he looked after it basically. I think he would have minded having a bit of more time off work, but it's not fun having a sore back. So, okay, and our last little bit, it's quite a bright feather this, isn't it? What sort of bird has a feather this colour? A really bright flamingo. What do you think? I'm sure there are pink birds, but it's quite mad, isn't it? Okay, we're going to do all really vibrant colours, I think, because we've got a lot of vibrant colours on this page, so let's go for it, I say. So I'm going to use this one next. This is the Delft Blue. It's a sort of purpley blue. It's a nice colour, I think. We'll do this little one. Should we do the one at the top? Yeah, we'll do this one up here. Now this one is, I'm struggling to reach it. So we're going to use the same technique on this one. Now I'm ignoring the patterns on all of these, I think. What I'm going to do is, like we have on the other pictures, is to get out a white pen at the end and do some bits and bobs, and I might highlight the patterns on some of these or whatever. I'll have a think at the end. I won't plan it too much now. I was reading a really interesting book yesterday on happiness. It's by Dr. Raman Chatterjee, and he's a really interesting writer. I think he writes things in a really easy to understand way, but backed by science, but he doesn't make it overwhelming. Sometimes I think books where they sort of quote scientific findings can be a little bit daunting. Having studied a master's in psychology, I'm quite used to reading wordy scientific papers. I don't like it, but I'm used to it and I can just about decipher them. But I don't think it's the way to go when you're writing a book, so I admire the fact that he makes it all simple, not really simplistic, but nice and simple, well explained. And he was talking about time, us people being time poor, never having a lot of time seemingly to do the things that they want, which I think is definitely something that I have seen in recent times. This is dark cadmium orange. I'm going to put it on this one. I'm going to use the same method. And he was saying how if you're deeply involved in just one activity and really thinking only about that, it can really help with your happiness. And it made me think about making videos, because when I colour normally, I can get distracted. I can be watching a YouTube video at the same time, looking at the news headlines, talking to someone, whatever. But when I'm making a video, I cannot not concentrate on this. I'm talking to you, so obviously I'm slightly talking about something slightly different. I'm just going to have to wipe my nose 1 minute. But and he said also it's important to push yourself a little bit. Do something that isn't really, really easy. And with the video, it pushes me more than normal colouring, because I'm having to explain it to you a little bit, talk to you about it, and talk and colour at the same time. And obviously I want it to look good. If I do something off camera that isn't brilliant, it doesn't matter, or I can correct it or whatever, but on camera I want it to obviously look good and be nice for you, and that sort of thing. And so he said if you can get involved in these sorts of activities, it can be really beneficial. And it made me think that you know, it's what I'm doing quite a lot, so that's really good. It probably really helps my happiness. I'm trying to think of what colour to do this one. I haven't just stopped. Well, I have just stopped. I think I'm going to go for a sort of browny yellow. This is a light yellow ochre. I think it might just work. We'll see, won't we? I'm just trying to sort of balance the colours, really. So that was really interesting. So it got me thinking about, because obviously colouring, we know it's a great form of relaxation, mindfulness, but what he was saying was pushing yourself just a little bit can make the difference, and not too hard. But he gave the example for him where he, can you see what I'm doing? I think you can. He plays guitar and he plays snooker, and he, in those times, he's on his own, and he tries to learn a new difficult shot or a new difficult piece of music or chord or whatever you do when you play the guitar. I don't know. And or he composes actually music as well. So it's not just about just doing, it's about pushing yourself a little bit so that you have to concentrate. And he says that you don't feel so time poor if you spend your time doing something like that, rather than, he says, it's really easy to sit down, pick up your phone, scroll through social media. I'm just finding my pen. Then I'm going to do some of the Posca. Look at your email, look at the news headlines, and suddenly like half an hour or maybe even an hour has passed, and you haven't even noticed that where the time went. So I think I'm a great sort of planner, and I think having a to-do list helps me. Now, I know a lot of people are really over-ambitious on their to-do list. They bite far too much on it and it stresses them. Now, my to-do list for today says do work on it. It's a bit vague, isn't it? Because I didn't know, I'm going to dot down these as well. I didn't know how long I would have to do my work, how long it would take me. So I made it vague. I would like to have finished it, but it turns out that I had some time to make videos, so I thought I'd do that instead, because I can do work next week when all the family are home, while the children are home. I'm not sure if that looks a bit weird, but anyway. I'm going to try and draw over these curves, but I'm not very good at drawing. And it says that I need to send someone a birthday card. That's easy, it's just a reminder. And that I needed to do something else with my videos, which I did. There's a fourth thing and I can't remember it, so I need to check. But I feel like we sometimes need to plan our free time as well as our sort of jobs, to make sure that so I always used to make sure that I did 5 minutes a day of colouring, even at least. Now I don't, I just make sure I do some, and it's usually more, and because I'm making videos I have to do it, which is brilliant. It doesn't force me to do it, because that sounds, that's the wrong word. It means that I have to do some, and it sort of enforces me to have more leisure, which is brilliant. So that's good. And there we go. So I'm concentrating. I'm going to put a few dots on these other ones. I think that's got so dotty that these need a few as well. I'm just going to put a few in a few places. You don't have to do this. Have a look and see if you think it works. Just going to put some in the darker. The yellow doesn't show up the pen very well. Just going to put a few in the darker areas. Maybe on the edge there. There we go. Now I feel that that nest looks a little bit too dark for my liking, and I'm tempted to try and colour it over with a pencil that will lighten it just slightly. Now I don't think my polys are going to work, so I'm just having a look for something else. I'm thinking maybe this Prisma, this is a moss green Prisma, I think that might work. I just don't want it to be black. So I'm just giving it a sharpen. I'm just going to have a go and see if it colours on top. It is going on top, but I don't know how effective that is. It's still quite dark, isn't it? I'm going to do all of it so that it matches, and then I'm going to put a lighter colour on it. I don't know if it'll work. You might like it black. It just feels a bit too dark to me. Like, although it would be dark and shadowy, I'm not sure it would be quite that dark. And of course it shows the eggs off really well. Okay, let's try something much lighter. I don't know if we can go for that. I'm going to do something daring. I can always erase it. Just give it a sharpen. Probably needs a better sharpener already, but anyway. This is the Pale Sage. Okay, so it's a really light pencil. I'm going to try it. Oh yeah. I think this is going to work. Let's just lighten it. So I don't think Polychromos would necessarily work on this black. I don't think it layers on top so well. No, it doesn't matter if it's a little bit liney and scruffy because it's the bottom of a nest. It's not perfectly flat. Try and get up to the edge of those eggs though. There we go. I think that's the best I can do. So it's interesting reading the book on happiness. I shall link to it actually. It's not available in the US yet. It's not long come out in the UK. But I'm a happy person, and quite a few things in there I just totally make me understand why and what makes me different to other people. You know, it's really interesting. But I think even if you are a happy person, there's no harm in seeing if you can be even more happy. I just wish I could help other people to be happier, but I try to do that. Some people don't even seem to want to be. Don't really get that. Right, I'm just going to sweep that with my I like that. I like that better with that colour. It's up to you if you try that. As I say, I'm not sure that polys would have worked on top of black. I don't think they work like that, but I don't know. That's why I used the Prisoners. But that's me, all done on that page. But as I say, have a look at my Facebook page. The link is in the description, and I will share a photo of the complete page for you. I can't pull my book out and zoom out at the minute because there's too many pencils on my desk, so I need to have a tidy up first. So you can have a look, and I'll try and remember to put it on Instagram too. So thank you for following through this series with me. I hope it's been fun, and as I say, tomorrow we start Johanna Basford page. So thank you very much. Have a lovely, lovely day. Please like and subscribe, and happy colouring.